So, we can do one more or so. With 3 or 4, you will find ways to practice. So, when now we do this Onkara in tantric way. We did before Upanishad way, Upanishadic way, Vedic way. And we move through emptiness. We exert that power, that energy of emptiness, and dissolve into emptiness. At the end of the resonances of the energies flowing up and through into the end of the 12-finger space above the head. That is the undivided abode beyond the subtle body into infinite emptiness, the fullness of pure consciousness. Let's do a different pranava. Maya pranava, Hri Nodom, Hri 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 Nodom, Hri. This Maya pranava Maya Bija, Hri, Hri. Now I should tell you one more thing, so that when I leave, then you can practice better. And because three things flow together. One is the sound, and the resonance is within silence. Two things flow together, let's start with two. And the other is the breath. And third thing is the power of our consciousness. These things, the sound, the breath, and awareness. These are three aspects of what we call Kundalini. We learned about two things: sound and the power, supreme Shakti. Now it's very essential also to learn something about the breath. Because time is short, I'm sorry. Otherwise we sit 2 hours at a stretch sometime, no? Easily. At my home there in India. Very easily, it passes very quickly. Huh? Because you are such a good yogis, good yoginis. So that's found in a verse, that this practice is in the verse I began to explain before, but I thought I should finish. Omkara. This is actually the very first thing that Bhairava is teaching to his Shakti. And very first, we begin here. Urdve prano, hyado jivo, visargatma, parocharet, utpatti dvitiya stane, bharanad barita stitihi, Urdhve prano. Two in the flowing of the breathing. The breath that moves upward, when we exhale, the breath moves up. And this is called prana. Prana is a general term for all vital breath, but it is also one of the breathings, and it is the it's the exhaled breath, prana, and it moves up. And the inhaled breath is called apana, and it moves down. Normally people think that prana is the inhaled breath, because prana means the life, no? So we think, usually a very common mistake, and I also was in doubt for a long time, is to check, recheck, that prana is the inhaled breath. But prana is the exhaled breath. Because the idea is that as you exhale, the vitality flows through the body and give it life. You inhale, it's called apana. It's like filling the car with petrol, you know? Huh? You're charging up. And prana is discharging the life force into the body, the mind, subtle body.
Are there different schools that say prana is the inhale and people say prana is the exhale?
I think that's also, there's some confusion there. Here it's this way around.
Who is it that says prana is the exhale?
He does.
What Jaydev is saying?
No. Bhairava.
Okay. He's the man.
This Bhairava, Vijnana Bhairava.
That's not Jaydev Singh's translation.
There's not a translation, I'm reading from the Sanskrit.
That's just the Sanskrit.
That is just the Sanskrit.
Oh, that's just the Sanskrit?
I'm not reading.
With the commentary by
Shiva Upadhyaya.
So it's not Srimaraja's part.
This is commentary by Shiva Upadhyaya. I'm not reading. Then leave Jaydev Singh, leave all this. Huh? Jaydev Singh didn't translate the commentary. He presented the gist. Urdhve prana, the prana is above, means moving up. And ado jiva, jiva is the individual soul, means apana. And para, one should utter this supreme energy. Para is, what is para? Para is visarga. These things you cannot understand without many decades. Jaydev Singh was a very old man when he started Kashmiri Shaivism. You have to have a lot of experience of many tantras, many traditions. What is visarga? No. Emission. What is emission? Visarga. So, the breathing is being emitted from divine consciousness and is being emitted into divine consciousness. This visarga, you draw visarga, 2 dots, the letter is the last in the series of vowels. It's called visarga. It's written 2 dots, one above the other. You find one visarga here. Beautiful visarga you experience in Brahmarandra. beautiful visarga you experience in the heart, in the center of our being. Abhinava Bharata Sfurita Abhinava Kala Sfurita Bhava Janani Panchamukha Gupta Ruchira Janakaha Tadubaya Yamala Sfurita Visargamayam Anuttaramrita Kulam Hridayam Mama Sansfuratat. And beginning of Tantra Loka, beginning of Tantra Sara, beginning of Mali Vijay Vartika. Abhinavagupta is proclaiming the essence of everything he's going to teach. Means union of Shiva and Shakti. His mother and his father. And the union of these two, I don't explain all this because this is 2-3 hours just explaining this verse. You see, in India it's different. We sit for years together. As I sat with my gurus. Years together. I was a child when I went to. Now I'm coming here and nearly close to old age. Then I felt some confidence. Yes, I can explain 1 or 2 things. We are not allowed. At least we should have some gray hairs. Then we can begin. Something. To explain something. Usually that's the end of someone's career here. That's when they end. Then this when we begin. Because we have to have full confidence of having deeply studied the Shastras with qualified authorities for decades. Otherwise we fall into what is called imagination. And we are preserving the tradition. We try. So Visarga, this Visarga of Hridayatmochara, the utterance that comes from the heart in Shambhavupaya when you experience the union of Shiva and Shakti. You experience the union of Shiva and Shakti, their united form of father and mother in the heart. This meditation is very wonderful. Something very secret meditation. Our Tantra Loka begin with this meditation because it's meditation on Visarga, on the emission that comes from the union of Shiva and Shakti. No? And that takes place in the heart. That is the heart. The heart means the innermost center of our being. If you experience, be aware of the center of our being. This is called the heart. You feel it's kind of pulsing. You feel the joy there. You feel it's full of sentiment, the heart. Because there Lord Shiva is uniting with his divine energy. There you will experience the supreme Visarga, the supreme emission, this outpouring of divine consciousness. This is called Vikasa. This is when our consciousness unfolds. It blooms like a flower, like a lotus. The lotus of the heart blooms. And the blooming, the opening up, the unfolding of the energies of the most fundamental core of our being, the unfolding of those energies, the emission of the union of Shiva and Shakti. The force of that opening up, takes place through the outpouring of this divine seed into Lord Shiva into his infinite freedom. This we experience the very center of the core of existence. This is Paravisarga. This center, we start in the body, but this center is nowhere. This center is everywhere. No? Now, this Visarga, this is Visarga of the breath. In the body, we experience, in the core of consciousness, we experience emission of consciousness. We experience emission in the activity of the senses. We experience emission in the breath. We experience emission in the mind. We experience emission in the body. We experience emission with every thought we have, with every breath we breathe, with every movement of the body. We experience emission when just the moving of leaves blown by the wind. We're experiencing the union of Shiva and Shakti. So it's that joy of that union that flows out in our breathing. It's that joy of that union that comes back to that center. We want to return to the core of bliss. This is called Visarga. This is called the emission of union of Shiva and Shakti. So we experience that with every breath we breathe, with every thought we have, with everything we see, with all that we touch. Every moment of our existence, we experience this union of Shiva and Shakti, the outflowing of Lord Shiva's seed into the womb of his divine energy. Visargatma, Para, supreme, the supreme power of consciousness. Her nature is this outflow, this emission. And this emission, a twofold emission. Upward emission and downward flowing emission. And he's saying, and this will be explained, this has many subtle explanations. We won't have time for all of them, just one or two. So, you fill the places where this emission arises. The two places it arises. One is in the heart, and the other is in the 12-finger space, the Dvadashanta. Utpatti, Dvitiya Sthana, the two places where this emission arises. He says, now by feeling that, you have this Bharita Sthitihi, this state, which is completely full, perfect. You're completely full of Lord Shiva's consciousness. Completely full of his Shakti. So he explained, from different points, from different level of practice. Yoyam urdva iti hridyo dvadashantam yavat vahan prana. He says the prana is flowing from the heart to the 12-finger space. So when we do the pranava, the sound, you feel the flow of the breathing. Normally the breathing, if you don't pay attention, it will just flow out through the mouth. That 12-finger space is out here. But if you're paying attention, you're a yogi, yogini, you feel the flowing up. You feel the breath is moving up, not out, but up. Huh? You exhale and it flows up. And the flowing up, it fills the end of the 12. Fill. Then it comes down and fill the heart. Then again, the heart empties out and fill the 12 finger space. So, by filling the two places of origin, then you experience the state of fullness. Yado jivo dvadashantat hridayantam apanaha. The lower moving breath is apana, and it flows from the 12 finger space to the heart. Esha paradevi ucharet. You should utter. You should utter this supreme goddess. And satatam swayam ucharanti stita. And how is she actually? She's all the time swayam ucharanti. She's always uttering herself spontaneously. All the time. So when he's saying you should utter forth that supreme energy, that supreme goddess, and how by it flow upward as the prana and flows downward as the apana. Actually, this movement, this utterance of the breath. Oh, thank you. So kind. Thank you, Lord. The time is short, you see, so I have to keep talking to you. This wonderful thing, this is what we call inner breathing. This by itself, this breathes forever. Because it flows not from outside, out there in this world of objectivity, but it flows up into supreme consciousness. And it flows down from supreme consciousness. And it flows by itself. This energy, this supreme, the goddess. The goddess of this, who is the energy of power of consciousness. So how is she? Kidrishi Visargo antar bhava karna rupo vimarshatma. She is yasyaha, her nature, which is vimarsha, awareness, mindfulness. And what is that awareness? It's visarga. That's what we mean by this emission. And that emission is of the nature of antar bahirbhava karana. It is that which is the instrument, the cause of this sense of inner and outer. Or it is the instrument through that which is within, through which that which is within is pours out. This is emission. This is awareness. What is within, the individual pours out into divine universal consciousness. What is within divine universal consciousness pours out into the individual. What is within flows out, and what is outside flows in. This is the practice of awareness. No? This is her essential nature. Apranadya Shakti Spandunmesha. She is the unfolding, the unmesha, of the spanda, this dynamism of Shakti, of Adya Shakti, this original, primordial, first throb, pulse of the energy of divine consciousness, beginning with the breath, inhalation, with exhalation, inhalation. At the beginning, when we begin, every moment a new beginning. Every breath, the first we breathe. So this unfolding of this divine energy of vitality, of consciousness, which has come right at the beginning, free of all the breathing, and come out of the beginning of that. It's the unfolding of that energy that develop into our breathing out or breathing in. This is visarga. This is awareness. Awareness to catch hold of the beginning, where everything begins. The origin of our existence. The origin of every moment. The origin of our life. That beginning, which is the end of all endings. The start of all things. Tad achuranena vina niyata prana pravaha ayogat. He says, why does mad exist? Why it's the very first? Because it's impossible to have any particular niyata prana pravaha, any particular flow of the vital breath, if it is not linked to that, if it is not filled with the energy of that supreme Shakti. Taduktam Sri Swachande. In Swachanda Tantra they said, Pranaha pranamaya prano visarga puranam prati. He says prana, this pranamaya, this prana, this means exhaled breath, is made of prana, means vitality. And what is that vitality? Is the prana is the vitality which is operating with respect, which is the filling of this emission. The emission which is filling our body, which is filling our mind, which is filling our breathing, which is filling our consciousness, which is giving us life. We are filled with that emission of consciousness, of vitality, of the breath. So we first find the origin, where it begins. So, yata evam ata utpatti dvitiyasya bhakhyabhyantara utpadadvayasya sthanam hridva dashanta. Therefore, he says, evam ata utpatti dvitiyasya bhakhyabhyantara, there the sthanam, the place of the two origins of where the breathing begins, one inside and the other outside. What are those two places? One is the heart and the other is the end of the 12. Tatra Bharanat, he says, by feeling that, he says, Nitya Unmeshat Adyasvaratatma Bhairaviya Shaktyut Palakshanat. How do you fill those places? How do you fill those places? By perceiving, by taking notice, by being aware of Bhairava Shakti. Bhairava Shakti, who is Adyasvaratta, this primordial effulgence of consciousness. And where is that? Nityun Meshat, that's perpetually unfolding. Where? In the heart. Where? At the 12-finger space. How do we fill those places? When it says fill the two places of origin of the breathing, how is it filled? They are filled by paying attention to the Bhairava Shakti, God's Shakti, this divine power of Lord Shiva. Where and what is that? It is perpetually unfolding radiance of His divine light. We see that, we experience that pulsing throb of that radiance of the Shakti of Lord Shiva's divine light, Bhairava's divine light, in our heart and in the 12-finger space. This is how it is filled. When we breathe. You need to know this to practice the Omkara. How to breathe. No? The Gurdjieff, he met so many people, Gurdjieff, and then he finally was happy because he met someone who taught him how to breathe. No. I went to India, I was 17, I stayed there since. And my guru taught me how to breathe. Bhairavata abhivyaktir bhavati. In this way, our own Shiva nature, our own Bhairava nature, become manifest. This is how we fill those two places. This is this state of fullness. Bharita. Bharita means full. And Bhairava, because he is fullness. We'll stop in soon. So, that was first explanation. And Shiva Upadhyaya offers as many as 6 how to do this. First explanation. The second. See how many we can do. Atacha urdva iti sarvendriya prasareshu prano vishayanu pranakaha sukshma prana pravaha. Now he explains prana in another way. He explains that prana, that subtle flow of prana, gross flow you feel in the breathing, subtle flow of prana. Where? It is that which impels us, the senses. It is found within the outflow, the extending of all the senses out to their objects. And it is that which gives life, the objects of sense. The flow, the subtle flow of prana, we feel in the activity of the senses. And this flow of the activity of the senses, as it were, enlivens all the objects of sense. They're not just dead things, we don't care about them. It's nothing. They give, what we experience around us as yogis is full of the vitality of consciousness. That thrill of God consciousness we experience when we are in the activity of the senses. And how? Because that activity of the senses is enlivened by the subtle flow of prana. Prana that gives life, that vitalizes the objects of sense. Yaschado jiva, now that jiva, Svikrita sarva vishayo vishan apanaha saeva ukta yuktya parocharet. Now what is apana? He's saying that once we have perceived, taken as our own, svikrita, sarva vishaya, all the objects of sense, and then consciousness return. It's gone out, the senses flow out, out into the field of their activity, the vishayas, the objects. And that is prana. Then apana is when you have, the senses have said, yes, now, oh, I've seen you, I've heard you, I've touched you, I've smelt you, I've taken possession of you, I've laid hold of you, got you, and bring them back. And return svikrita, this entering back into consciousness, that is apana. So, in this way, you should utter the Supreme Goddess. You should flow her forth, you should generate her, you should utter her. Satam, satatam chakasti, that is, she shines perpetually. In this way, in the movement of the activity of the senses and their objects. You see that she is always shining. The luminous energy of consciousness. This is called breathing through the senses. Tato grahyutpattistane hridi grahakutpattistane cha sayam sangattapade. So from this point of view, what are the two places of origin? Grahyutpattistana, the place where the object, the grahya, arises. Where is that? That is arising from the heart. Because consciousness is flowing out from the core, from the heart. That's prana is flowing out. And the grahakutpattistana, he says, the place where subjectivity arises. Where is that? He says, when all the union of objectivity takes place in the unitary consciousness that comes through the satisfaction of the activity of the senses. See? Subject? Object arises by the outpouring of the pranic vitality of consciousness from the core of our being out through the senses. This the way objectivity arises. And when all of that has taken place and all the senses the objects have become displayed to our consciousness, then it returns to itself. And then the subjectivity arises. This is smell, I smell. This is touch, oh, I touch. This is sound, I hear, and so on. So you fill these two places. These are the places where prana and apana arises. Another way of explaining. So, how do you fill them? He says, as before. That is, through awareness. That is, through awareness of what? The shining of the light, the radiant energy of God's light in both places. In the source of objectivity and in the source of subjectivity. Source of subjectivity is outside, moving in. The source of objectivity is inside, moving out. So you fill those two places, again, by awareness of that divine radiant pulse of light of Shiva's consciousness. We can do one more, then we can practice this. So, the second one is when our eyes are open. When we're going to the store, when we're going to work, when we're coming home, huh? And we're sitting to take notes or whatever. You do? The other one is also, every time you're breathing, it's going on by itself, no? We can sit with the eyes closed. That helps to strengthen awareness. And then we walk around. We do go in our daily life full of God consciousness. So how I should be, no? Nice would be, some person came, uninterrupted God consciousness. So be that person as I should be, as I could be. Not I should be, I could be. No? Who is that Guru? To see in the mirror. When I'm uninterruptedly practice. No? What is enlightened? Unbroken practice. Uninterrupted practice. This is enlightened. There we can be that. I can be that. I should be that. I can be that. I don't should be. Because this is going on spontaneously, by itself. Don't have to start it up. You don't have to have some special talent for this. Be male or female, be any condition of life, householder, sannyasi, old, young, nothing. This is going on by itself. So kincha, again. Urdhva iti pranapanunmesha pade prana asheshavachaka anupranana akaraha ada iti sakaraha. Now he is teaching us something important. Now he is teaching from the point of view of our anava practice, our individual practice. This flow of speech. We had the flow of breath. Then we had the flow of the energy of consciousness, flowing back and forth, up and down, back and forth. And now we have the flow of speech. He says, Urdhva, what do we mean by above? Urdhva prano, prana is above. Urdhva means on that plane in which prana and apana unfold, both the breaths. Now, prana is what? Prana is that akara, the letter A, which it denotes and gives life to everything. Means you can't say a single, utter a single consonant, have a single word, a single syllable without A. A, E, U. Now, if that series doesn't begin, then and the last is at the end. Means sa, the last of the series of letters. A, E. A, E, U, li, li, eng, hanga, ka, nya, ja, da, na. Ta da 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 na pa ba 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 ma yara la va sha sha sa sa e like that. So and sa. Santo matrika gata varna punjaha. He says this whole aggregate of letters means these energies of speech. Sesha visargatma. He says this Pranta darshita hakara kalanatmana nada rupa para. Para, after a i u li yaralava sha sha sa. Then come ha. Right? So, that visarga, what is visarga? That para, you should utter para. Para is visarga in the form of ha, the last letter of the alphabet. Then begin. A, I, I, U, like that. Sha, sa, ha. That's supreme. That is giving. Then everything is going, moving round. From a to ha and spinning around ha. Means visarga. With no breathing, you can't utter anything. So, Matrika chakra, this is the cycle of the letters, of the varnas. And Kramena ashesha vacha vachakantam jagat ullangya gacchati. He says, in this way, he says, all that is uttered by word, means Sanskrit words, and everything that those words denote, ashesha. He says, by following the flow of this cycle of the matrikas, a, I, u, the letters, what does he do? It transcends, it goes beyond the universe, all things made of words and all things made of meaning. And this supreme nada, ha, supreme nada, that is para Shakti, goes beyond all those other letters. A, I, U, Sha, Sha, Sa. This is the world. Ha. Supreme nada. And back. A, I, U, like. So, Swaujasa, Beda Padam, Abhibhuya Sfurati. He says that this plane of diversity of Beda, Beda Pada means this plane of duality. Abhibhuya, she's conquered that. Abhibhuya, overcome. Sfurati, it shines effulgent with its Swaojas, with its own innate energy. So, up to that point, Atasya, Utpatti Dvitya Sthane, Akara Hakaro Vimrishya. So thinking in this way, contemplating the energies of A and Ha in the two places where they arise, what happens? The union of Shiva and Shakti. Where does that take place? In the heart and in the 12-finger space. Like that.
Are you going through the whole alphabet?
Yes, that's the alphabet. Fast. Because there's no time. I have to leave. But you do it in the flow like that. It's nice. Yes. Yeah, I know. There's a clock there. I thought, oh, come here, do a lot of meditation with you. But, anyone can do with meditation with you. You don't need anybody. You are so advanced, no? So like that. Now, I think now, actually, for the last end of this, we revise, no? So, Urdve prano, hyado jivo, visargatma, parocharet, urdve prano, Urdhve above is prana, moves up. Ado, hyado, jivo, and jiva means apana, go down. Ado. Visargatma, that which has the nature of visarga, means para, paro charet. You should utter para, paro charet. Urdhve prano, hyado jivo, visargatma, paro charet. Urdhve prano, hyado jivo, visargatma, paro charet. Utpatti dvitiya sthaneshu, utpatti dvitiya sthane, utpatti dvitiya sthane, utpatti, one at a time, utpatti dvitiya sthane, utpatti dvitiya sthane, utpatti dvitiya sthane, utpatti dvitiya sthane. Bharanat, bharita stitihi, utpatti dvitiya sthane, bharanat, bharita stitihi, urdhve prano, hyado jivo, visargatma, paro charet, utpatti dvitiya sthane, utpatti dvitiya sthane, bharanat, bharita stitihi. So, first one, we experiencing the radiance of the light of our divine consciousness in the heart and in the 12-finger space above the head. Exhaling from the heart, the center, and moving up to the top of the head, to the top of the 12-finger space. Then it rests there. You fill it by filling it with the radiance of the light of our consciousness. Then from there the breath spontaneously again inhales, comes down with inhalation. And we fill the heart again with the radiance of our consciousness. can just exhaling, moving up, thinking of the letter R, flowing up, and inhaling, moving down, thinking of the letter Ha. Hearing Ah and Ha. Now if you open your eyes, and you can just look directly in front of you, and feel the flow as you breathe. The flow of exhalation, like the energy of the senses flowing out through the senses, out to the object in front of you. As you inhale, that object, the sensation of that object is being drawn back into your consciousness. You experience yourself seeing that. Then again it goes out to the object and back into yourself as the perceiver. If it's starting to look out, you can close your eyes again. Go back just to the breathing. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om. So, thank you. Thank you.